We said. Say those things we were thinking. Just the one.
I think we're like, way up to pull that Jesse, I'm going to sit up here if that's okay, so you can see that.
Much water? Got one?
Yes, thank you. You're going to take yours.
No. Cool.
It's nice to see you.
Jesse, do we have everybody online?
I have. That's the only person who's there.
I know it's 3 p.m. our time, right?
Yes.
Well done. On the dot.
Mariah. Marie.
White room in there. This is alcohol.
Yes, so we're doing like that. It's a hybrid.
After 45 years of sobriety. I slipped out on coffee. Yeah.
Wait, I can Joe. Yeah, I have a club.
No, I'm not.
Jesse, do you have Jonathan and Samantha online?
I have Mark.
Hey, John.
I have
Hey, good.
Mark.
Yes. I was just checking to see if we're online right now. Okay. Yes. Can you see us online? Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. Yep. Bye. Jonathan and Samantha are there.
George, you probably go off and still have enough because of the reflection.
We'll do some lights.
See all the glare? I don't know if y'all can see it or not.
Is there any way to turn off some of the side lights just so that there's not so much going on?
Well, Ashton, I don't want to hear that
So they're doing it.
either. What?
See how it's glaring on the. Yeah, that helps.
Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to today's presentation by the Waynesville Public Art Commission. And we're here to watch a presentation by artists that have submitted applications to do a piece of artwork in front of the Pigeon Community Multicultural Development Center. My name is George Kenny. I'm the chair of the commission, and I'd like to introduce the other members. The far end is Vicki Mangieri, Douglas Garrett, Steve Lloyd, C.J. Deering, Ashton McKinney, Jenny Moe, and Skip Middleton. And Skip's usually the guy behind the scene, but he's actually in public today. So I'd also like to introduce Gregory Wheeler. Gregory is the co-chair of the board for the Pigeon Community Multicultural Development Center. And Gregory, do you have some people that you'd like to introduce?
Well, the folks on the board are not. So, we do have a new board member, Dr. Michael Paskett.
Okay.
And Tasha's here. Tasha, is there more from you don't come in? Okay, so Tasha Forney, she's on the board as well.
So you may have picked up one of these booklets on your way in, and if not, please take one with you. This is the walking trail booklet that we put together of all the artwork that the commission is responsible for here in town. And there are currently 17 pieces. We are working today to select the 18th piece. The most recent one is the mountain lion that you may have noticed coming in the front door. And that was a donation from David and Nancy Blevins that we just installed here a couple of months ago. The artwork that the commission approves is the funding for that comes from donations and grants. And the grant for this piece, we got a generous grant from the Tourism Development Authority that's making this possible. The total cost of this piece will be $35,000, and that is non-taxpayer money. We've already had a request for the next piece, which I haven't even shared with the commission yet. But if you are interested in donating toward our projects, you could send a check to 16 Main Street here in Waynesville, 28786, or stop by the building across the street, and we'd be glad to take your money. The process for how this is done is we decide on a site where we're going to put a piece of public art. We work with that site to develop a concept, and then we put out a request for qualifications for artists. And we have an opportunity for public input, and that's where you come in today. I know our agenda says 6 o'clock. We're going to push things along a little bit faster. We don't want to impose too much on your time, but we really would like your input on the forms that you have. As each of the artists listed, you can write comments, but what would be very helpful is if you would put your top 3 choices at the end, and you can even number them 1 to 3. We're going to have deliberation tomorrow. I don't know that we'll have a choice yet tomorrow, but that way we can kind of sort your comments very quickly and use those for our deliberations. This is being broadcast now on YouTube, and it will be also recorded. So anybody who isn't here today that would like to see that and send an email can do that. You would find it by looking up waynesvillenc.gov, going to the home page, and clicking on the link that is View Town Council Meetings. and the video from this presentation will be on there. For this process, I'd like to thank Lisa Burnett, who works for the city. She put together the request for qualifications and did an excellent job of getting the word out there. We had 16 applicants from all over the country. The committee met and narrowed it to 7 that are going to present today. Our goal was to narrow it to 4, but we had such high quality applicants that we really needed to give these 7 people the opportunity to present for consideration. I'd also like to thank Jesse Fowler in the back. He's the assistant city manager and the liaison to our committee, and Candace Bolden right here in front, who is our administrative assistant for our meetings and this whole process. So it's my pleasure to introduce our first artist for presentation. I will say that we have a lot of technology going on, and 5 of these people are presenting over Zoom. So you may have to be a little bit patient with us as we work through that. We've got a lot of stuff going on, but our first presenters are Jonathan and Samantha Arango from West Palm Beach, Florida. The presenters will have 15 minutes to present, and then there'll be a 5-minute period where if we have questions from the commission, we can ask, and then we'll go on to the next artist after that. And we've asked the artists to be flexible, that we plan to run ahead of schedule so that we can move right along from one to the next. So Jonathan and Samantha.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, thank you for having us here. We're really excited to show you some options today that we've come up with. We're really excited about it.
Yes, if we can, we'll share our screen. Okay, can everyone see this okay? All right, wonderful. So first of all, thank you so much for having us. We are Jonathan and Samantha Arango, and we're husband and wife artist team. As George said, we're in West Palm Beach, but we basically just travel around. So we sort of have broken the idea of a local artist and are more of a national artist.
Yeah.
So we work very much with a sculptural element. We make murals, however, they do go on almost in plastic layers, so they do seem sculptural. When you look at them, they're very much they're 3-dimensional in nature.
And we utilize the triangle to give that sculptural element, and you'll see we're going to show some of our work we've done recently. One in Wilmington, North Carolina, actually just last year.
So there's a really cool element to what we do. We have a community aspect. We've developed this way to allow anybody of any age to paint without worrying about making any mistake. Mostly because we can clean it up in no time afterwards. So this format typically takes us 1 to 2 days longer. However, it's something completely worth doing. The one we did in Wilmington last year had about 500 people participate over the course of 2 days. And there's just something so beautiful about having a large space full of just people that would otherwise probably not even talk to each other. Just to have that platform where people can connect in that way. It's sort of, we realized at some point that most people haven't touched a brush since they were in 2nd grade. So to give them this sort of permission and to put them in a safe space where they know that it's perfectly fine to paint whatever their skill sets or however skilled they are with a brush is really a wonderful thing.
Yeah. It also connects the community to the piece in a really unique way, so that as the years pass by and generations become new generations, they can say, I contributed to this piece of artwork that's here in my community and with my child or with my mother or with my grandparent. And that's something also really special about the community aspect. is that it becomes their mural even more so because they helped create it.
And then just a little note before we go into the work. It does have a lot of visibility. It has a lot of vibrancy, and that's something that can't be conveyed with a digital medium. So just bear that in mind when you look at it. It's impossible to compare the two. The live version just really pops out. We do treat everything with a very meticulous system just to guard it against graffiti, UV wear, discoloration, and that's for many years to come. I really put a lot of effort into that portion, into the protection part of it. Okay. So this is the one we did a few months back in Wilmington. It was Wilmington's first downtown's first mural after they relaxed some sign ordinances they had. And then this is 100 foot by 24. And here you can see, hopefully it plays. It was playing in a second ago.
Yeah.
There we go. So just sharing a little bit of this process with you.
You know,
Just for
me,
people painting.
it's 100%. It's some of where I come from. Part of why we are who we are, vibration strong. God, part of my everyday life is this natural as breathing.
Yeah.
All right, so you get the idea. It's we essentially set up on a table, and then anybody that comes up can just paint, and it doesn't matter how old they are.
So they're all broken up. John creates grids with triangles, and so they're all broken up into each individual triangular piece. So we ask people to paint 1 or 2 triangles, however many they feel called to, depending on the amount of people that we have, so we can ensure that everyone can participate. And each triangle is aligned with a number that's pre-mixed paint that we then give them the correct paint, and then they are able to then go to that space and paint that triangle with their friends, their family, their children. And yes, in Wilmington, we had about 500 people just with us being able to manage that space. So it's really.
So it's very much like a classical paint by number,
Yeah.
Except it's just mistake proof. There's really no way to mess this up. So we really encourage people to join in on the process. This is one we did in Loveland, Colorado, a few months back too. Again, this is, we very much feel like a mural is much like a tattoo for a city. So it's all very informed and needs to be conveyed. And though we can't really get a feel normally for the space until we're there, we read and do a lot of research just to make sure this tattoo corresponds to the city that's going to wear it. So here you can also see some kids just painting.
With their grandfather, actually. They were such a sweet little family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is one of those processes where, 20 years down the line, you have somebody who was 5, 10 remembering, grandma, I did this with grandma 20 years ago. So it's really a beautiful, it works on so many levels. Mm-hmm. This was one in Odessa. This was in Ohio last year too, or in 2022. About 300 people came together to paint.
So we have 3 proposed artworks or ideas or concepts to present to you today, and we have set out sort of these goals that encompass all 3. One would be the historical acknowledgement of the space. So, speaking to the past, present, and future of this space, creating a sense of place that was anchored and forward thinking while also acknowledging the history of that space at the same time. We wanted to add a human element with an emotional message. We felt like this is a very human activated space, and so having that human element is really important. We wanted to create a place of safety and hope, joy, familiarity, a place of respite, creating community, sanctuary, a healthy environment. We wanted these images to ignite a sense of playfulness. So to create the atmosphere of play, joy behind the action of forward movement, and also an invitation for all of us to tap into that inner child, both through the community aspect as well as the image itself. And then as far as accessibility, like John mentioned, we always keep long distance and short distance in mind. So as we move further and further away from the image, the triangles appear to merge and create this very sculptural kind of fused element. And then as you go up to the piece closer and closer, the triangles become very separated and individual. And you can acknowledge all the different colorful pieces that actually are all separated by lines and tape that comes off once we're finished painting. And then the inclusion aspect. So for all three pieces, we wanted to create a safe environment for connection that bridges all cultural barriers. And then we just have a photo of the proposed site down below.
So important notes, these are still very much in the rough stage. The first rendering is actually the only one that's completed in our style, and that's because it typically takes me anywhere from 30 to 40 hours just to render it. And then the rest are just very rough mock-ups, but that still give you a good idea. So this is our first one. It's called The Path Forward. And we included a couple of versions of it too. And here we have a little mock-up of it on the wall. So the composition is essentially just a visual representation of this goal of past, present, and future of both the community and the building itself. So the image has a young girl. She has an open book, and that's just a nod to education. Then you have this pigeon flying out of the book, which creates this sense of awe in the girl's face. Everything leans upwards, also suggesting that forward, upward moving or motion, direction. We have some trilliums in the background here. They're very much a local flower, or they're definitely in the area. So this is also to connect just the natural world to the structural aspect of the building and the people itself. Also, the trillium is known as a symbol of recovery, which is essentially the effort that's being put into this space, beauty, purity, and it's a flower associated with overcoming life's challenges with grace, strength, and dignity. We also wanted to leave some of the exposed brick to leave some of that historic charm.
So this next piece we're calling it a truss fall. And here in the top right, you can sort of see a very rough mock-up of how we're envisioning this piece to be. So the idea of letting go and the feeling of falling and being caught by a trusting source. So all of the multiple hands sort of reaching up or symbolizing overlapping the community, the diverse community that nods to the many hands it takes to succeed in any endeavor, overcoming any obstacle with the support of our communities to catch us. And again, this is a rough mock-up.
Yeah, so just in case this is what the mural would look like, this is a full rendered version of it. Of course, it's still in its initial stages. There's a couple of stages to this. This is basically just some images put together to give you a sense of what it is.
And then our last idea is called the Leap Forward. And this is a play on the childhood game of leapfrog that reminds us of schoolyards, outdoors, playfulness, friendliness. Kids would have to also trust each other in this game. It also is that feeling of jumping high up in the air and then landing safely on the ground. Even if someone would tumble and fall, there would be a friendly hand to help pick them back up. So framing this moment in time alludes to also moving forward with love and support, regardless of what happened in the past, mistakes or otherwise. And again, these are sort of rough concepts, but we imagine them sort of leaping over each other across this wall space.
And then for anybody who will have access to this, we have some, it's just some FAQs on the community format itself, on how it works. Yeah, so I do want to mention, because I did say that it's almost like plastic sheets, but it's It's essentially an acrylic that's mixed with a polymer that turns it into a hard plastic. It helps it bind to the wall much better and also promotes flexibility with the film. And it has a UV component to it. So there are 3 layers like that that go on top of it just to make sure that it lasts a long time and that the chemistry behind the building is not going to affect it in any way. So that's what I meant. It's still acrylic paint. It just has some polymers that help it live a long life. With that, thank you so much. We're open for questions.
Can you talk for just a minute about if there were a graffiti, how you would be able to remove that from the painting?
Did he hear you?
Did you hear my question?
Jesse, who's got the Zoom? Who's hosting the Zoom? Which computer? Maybe you can just relay the question.
Which side of the building?
That's facing 276.
So the left, where you just barely see that window, that's towards front.
Correct.
Can they hear you? Are you allowed? Your microphone? Oh, on your computer? You want to call?
Oh.
Ask the question.
George, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now. I don't think you can hear me. Can you
No.
talk for just a moment about how it would, how we could remove graffiti if graffiti were on the painting?
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna hang up and then that'll be the end of our.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. So that's George. We're having some audio difficulties on their end. The question is regarding graffiti. How can it be removed? So we use a top coat that allows for very easy removal without even sacrificing that layer. So this is, the sooner one catches it, the better. But let's say if somebody notices it's there within a couple of days, they can just wipe it off with soap and water because the layer is just that good. There is also an additional cleaning product. It's very non-abrasive stuff that can be used if it goes on for a longer period of time without anybody noticing. In any case, we always send a sheet with the mural care, just to, it's all very simple, but just to make sure. And it's also good to educate community members to pay attention to if it's happening, then they go and they can just easily wipe it. A little station can be left next to the mural as well, where people can pick up a cloth and wipe it and then just put it back.
But thankfully, after making murals for 10 years, we've never had anybody do any graffiti on our pieces. So.
Yeah, a lot of places do murals as deterrents to graffiti. Places where there's a lot of graffiti, murals normally stop that sort of activity. Okay. There are no more questions. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much.
I'd have to call them. I'd have to call them. When I have spoken with them previously, it would be at least 20 minutes. Okay, it's my pleasure to introduce our next presenter, live and in living color. This will be a little easier. Jeanette Brozart from and Maria Gary from Durham, North Carolina. And I'm sorry this.
Hello. I'm Maria. Maria, we both live in Durham. We're friends and colleagues. And I asked her to come along with me on this public art process. And her husband just had a surgery. Sorry. Her husband just had a surgery. There she is. Hi, Maria.
Hi.
So I'm here.
Do you allow me to share my screen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maria.
Uh-huh.
Thanks, panel. Thank you, citizens. Nice to be here. I think she's in the process. My name's
Yep.
Jeanette Brossert. I'm a mosaic artist, public artist, and teaching artist from Durham, North Carolina. I've been an artist for over 20 years. I met Maria maybe about 8 or 10 years ago. She's been an artist for over 10 years, and she'll introduce herself in a moment when our screen is up. She's working on it, I think. Okay. And so thanks for having us. I was really interested in this project because I did grow up near Asheville, and I still have family members, including a 99-and-a-half-year-old grandmother who lives in Swannanoa, who I was able to visit last night thanks to coming here. And I went out to the site this morning at the Pigeon Community Center, Multicultural Community Center. And two reasons, my Western North Carolina kind of ties, but also my most recent public project in Durham is with the Merrick Moore community. And Dr. Moore was instrumental with the Rosenthal schools, of which the Pigeon community was one. So there's definitely that tie. And I did a lot of research and met Eileen Watts Welsh, who is the great-granddaughter of Dr. Aaron Moore, who was instrumental in the African American educational movement in North Carolina. So my current project that is almost installed, the concrete was poured yesterday, has a strong tie with this project. So I was really interested in experiencing that in your community. So Maria was there. Are you up?
Yes.
Oh, there she is. Okay. So there's Maria, and we can go past the first slide, Maria. Thank you. Almost all of these images, except Maria's slides, are going to be work that I have done with schools and community groups. So as we roll through, you'll see all these mosaic images. They're my images of my work with communities. I've facilitated thousands of children at almost 200 schools across North Carolina, making mosaic murals for their school. All kinds of different imagery, from abstract all the way to the rain cycle or the different regions of North Carolina, and having a plant, an animal, and a landform. So the wonder of mosaics is that it really can be almost any visual that people are interested in. And when I go into a community, it's really important to me that I'm not bringing what I want them to have. It's most important that I'm facilitating them creating the artwork with me that they want to have. So I try to refrain from doing a lot of upfront sketching when I haven't even met the people that I'm talking to about it yet. So our approach is going to be a little bit coming around the back end. Next slide, Maria. Thank you. Mosaics are extremely durable. Materials can be important to the construction, and so depending on what the final outcome is, kind of informs what the pieces can be. It can be glass, it can be stone, it can be ceramic tile, it can be porcelain tile, which is the hardest and most durable. And I do have a very heavy sample behind me. I'll try to lift it up in a bit. I've done insets into concrete. I've done sculptural work where I've created the sculpture, and then mosaic is the surface treatment for it. And then it can also just be panels on a wall, like mural style. Thank you, Maria.
And I am Maria Gary. I am a mixed media fiber artist and a teaching artist, but I am also a creative inspirationist. I just made that up. But I am one that inspires creativity. I have such a passion for art journaling and the use of the techniques that I like to bring that out in all the participants, because we all have a story to tell. And releasing from within with art is a way to tell that story. I have a body of work called Every Apron Has a Story, and it was actually with a conversation with Danette a couple of years ago that inspired the next body of work of other people's stories. I'm excited to be able to be a part of the Waynesville art project, and just that creating the stories from past, present, and future, working with the community as well.
Thank you, Maria. So, like I mentioned, it's really important to me to not presume that I know what a community wants or needs. And so, our roundabout way of our presentation today is that we see this as a two-part residency, whereas Maria and myself, Maria would be facilitating a series of workshops, hopefully with the Pigeon Community Center or other local interested folks that would be more on the mixed media side. She can create bindings and books, lots of mixed media to kind of draw out what it is that people are interested in, even if they don't know. You don't have to be artists to participate. We have, between us, we have lots of experience with all ages, from seniors to children. And so her forte is drawing out and tapping into those things on the inside that may want to speak on the outside, and you might not even know it. So the first plan is a series of workshops, just getting those ideas brewing and percolating and coming to the surface. And then as the artists, we would be inspired by that information and what people want to share with us. And then we will be developing the mosaic designs. Now, that can be panels on the wall, on that big wall that's there. But when the call first came out, I thought it was on the wall. And then George called and said, congratulations, you're one of the finalists, but we might not be able to attach to the wall. So my brain got started thinking in 3 dimensions. And the Merrick Moore project that I mentioned has a freestanding sculptural at the park. So Maria, if you will go to the next slide. Oh, the second part of, sorry, I got ahead of myself a little bit. The second part of the residency would be mosaic assembly sessions with me. And there's a brief little slideshow there where paper patterns are developed. Participants can work on assembling the pieces. That can get stuck together with a face mount tape. So it's captured just like how anyone would make their pieces. And then this can be attached to many different substrates. It can be attached to the wall directly. It could be attached to cement board panels on the wall. It can be attached to a column, a freestanding sculpture, a bench, back, various constructions. It can even be recessed into concrete pad. Thank you, Maria. Go to the next one. So the theme is past, present, and future, and we want to stick with that trio idea. Some of the ideas, again, triptych style panels on the wall, a 3-sided twisted prism, which there's a sketch coming up, could be a circle mandala in 3 parts recessed into concrete. And I've also designed a 3-peak double-sided mountain bench with some guys that I work with in Durham. It can be any of those. The outcome could be any of those. So I didn't make 10 sketches of all these different things, but if you can imagine that the mosaics that participants can assemble can be applied to any of those substrates. And so designing something for each of those would come in the next round, informed by the participants who are having the ideas and want the piece. Next slide, Maria. There's what mosaics on the wall can look like. Each of those panels is only 3 feet by 5 feet. So this morning out at the site, I saw the big wall, and a 40-foot span could have easily 6 to 9 3 by 5 panels. If it's mounted to the wall, we can have more mosaic. If it's something that has to be built, it would be less mosaic work because of the cost of the construction for something. If that makes sense to everyone. Next slide, Maria. Here's some of my scribble scrabble. So the freestanding sculpture idea I had in my mind based on that 3, the past, present, future, that twisted prism has 6 facets, but I'm imagining it as maybe a 6-foot tall prism that's got 6 different facets that mosaics can be in each one of those triangles. The circle kind of represents what a concrete inset might look like, and then my bench there, pardon the scribbling, but it would be double-sided, so seats on both sides of the bench with the mountainy triple mountain backs, and then the mosaics would go on the mountain part of the backs. And I do have a fabricator who can make those within our budget. That's already confirmed. Thank you. Next slide, Maria. Oh yes, the last one already. That one quickly. That is a project from a school I did years ago, and that design was actually, I think, a 4th grader made that design, and we rendered it together at a school in Granville County, and it might have been at the oldest still operational elementary school in North Carolina. And I have a few actual things to show. Do I have like 2 more minutes left?
3.
Great. All right. I can't lift it up really, really high. I'm good. Thank you. I just don't want to crash on your toe. My collaborators for the Merrick-Moore Park project in Durham, they are master metal fabricators, and we made this as a sample for the entranceway to the park that we worked on together. So the reason why it is so heavy is because it is real deal construction. The metal isn't finished on this because it's just a sample, but the tile is porcelain tile. Color goes throughout the clay body, so if and when it gets chipped, you will still see the color that you're supposed to see. And the porcelain tile is the most durable of the mosaic materials that could be used, and almost for all my outdoor work. I love glass, but this is the most durable. So if that becomes a big need for this project, this is that actual tile. Right. Other things with me that are quite as cumbersome. Sorry. These are small samples to give anyone who doesn't have an idea about what you can do in mosaics.
Can we see it?
Yes, I'm sorry. The panel, sorry. Actually, pass it on down. You can touch it. And you can also have text.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
So instead of me giving you an image of what I wanted to see on the building, Maria and I are really hoping that we have the opportunity to learn what you would like and help you make that.
Very good.
Thank you.
Do we have some questions?
Same question about the graffiti.
Yes.
How cleanable is this?
Very. There are actually sealers that are made for anti-graffiti these days, and the tile company that I get a lot of my grout and thin set from, they have a sealer that's for exactly that, and we have used it for the project that is almost going up in Durham. So there are products for that these days for easier removal, and the porcelain tile is not porous, so that makes a big difference in the cleanup for sure.
I have a question too.
Yes.
I'm just curious. For the bench idea, how big, it's a double bench, I get that. How big would that be? How long do you think
Well,
that would be?
We've just are in the preliminary stages, but I think I asked him for a quote for at least 6 feet wide. So a couple
That
of
way, okay.
yes,
Gotcha.
and so maybe 3 people on one side and 3 people on the other. Again, this was preliminary, just based on getting some sense of what other kinds of constructions if we couldn't attach to the wall. So that was a little bit like a hurry up and think of plan B.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
That company is called Cricket Forge, and in fact, I'm quite sure they have work in this part of the country. They're in Durham, but they have work all over, and they make these beautiful big butterfly cutout metal benches. And they're definitely my collaborators for the Merrick Moore. It's a 3-dimensional, 12 feet tall, semi-oval, cut steel and mixed mosaic panel, upright park entrance. It's going to be fantastic when it's finally up. So,
One other question.
yes,
Your series of workshops, what's your time frame on that?
hopefully the summer. We're hoping the summertime. We would need time from the first series to the second, because the first series would be developing those ideas and then translating that into a couple of design options, which the community panel can vote on which they prefer. And then patterns and materials for that selection would need to be purchased and prepared. And then the second half of the making could be just later on that summertime. So maybe June and August with a final install in September, something like that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Jeanette and
Yes.
Maria.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Maria.
Our next presenter is Davisi Okoye from Detroit. And I probably slaughtered his name, so I'll apologize.
Real close is NDBC Okoye. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can, and you can go ahead and start.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna share my screen. Can you guys see this?
Yes, we can.
So as I said, my name is NDBC Okoye, and I'm a multidisciplinary creative from Detroit, Michigan. First of all, thank you guys for selecting me as a finalist for this opportunity. I was born in Raleigh, North Carolina, funny enough, so I've always wanted to create a piece of art in North Carolina. So this opportunity would be a great opportunity to have something in the state that I was born in. So again, thank you. I have my resume and artist statement. A summation of that is basically I want to create art that I have a passion for art and design that tells a story. No matter what medium I'm working with, I want to create unique stories that motivate, represent, and inspire people, especially those throughout the African diaspora. Through combinations of hand lettering, geometric shapes, and vibrant color palettes, and improvised rhythm, I want to uplift people that view my work. So that's my art statement. Like I said, I'm really interested in working with you guys, and I'm super grateful for the opportunity to show you a couple of my previous pieces. This one I did East Lansing for Dr. Robert L. Green. He was a civil rights leader, dean of students at Michigan State University. He was also the first white person to buy a home in East Lansing, Michigan. This was a series of murals I did for a Universal Music Group out in Santa Monica, California, at their headquarters, as a tribute to Motown in Detroit. It was an amazing opportunity. This was a vote mural that I did in Detroit on the headquarters of the ACLU of Michigan to get Black and brown people out to vote in the 2020 election. It got me a lot of attention, and people really love that piece. It's one of my favorite. This was a piece I did for Pepsi, for the Detroit show. It was handed to like a gigantic billboard that was shown in downtown Detroit and throughout Southeast Michigan. And I was also starring in a commercial for this piece. This is a piece I did called What Up Though, for a campaign with Foot Locker for the love of basketball. It was a nationwide campaign, and I was selected as a representative for the Midwest region. And with this piece, I just celebrated Black culture, sneaker culture in Detroit. What up though is a colloquial phrase. It just means hello in Detroit lingo. These were a series of murals that I did in Detroit as well for Mac Commons to highlight their values and promote their Christian-centered messaging. And to celebrate the community. And this final piece was a piece I did for Mercedes-Benz Financial in Detroit called Detroit's a Black Woman. And it was just a story, a personification of what Detroit means to America, like Black women mean to America. So it was a beautiful piece. I led a group of community members, accountants, and just people from the neighborhood to get this piece all in one day, which is an incredible opportunity. And it was covered by the local press and just all over. And I have more actually. This piece was a mural I did a couple years ago in Baltimore, Maryland, called We Care Brooklyn. It was on a local barbershop called Cutting Up. It's a local place where people can get their haircut. It's a barbershop and salon, and the uniqueness of that neighborhood was bringing the Hispanic community and Black community together because that was the two major demographics in the area. So the message that they came with was "We care." So I put that together in this beautiful mural and piece that really resonated. So today, we're going to present you guys Your God's Child too. I really love this mural. For the inspiration, I wanted to discover first the stories of the Black community in Waynesville, North Carolina, and use those stories to inspire this mural. To do this, I read the book Like Every Voice, created by the community centers, and using those oral reflections of the community. Your God's Child too is a quote from Georgia Floyd's grandfather. The full quote is, "You must realize you're just as good as anybody else. And all of the people in the eyes, you're God's child too." And I felt, when I read that, I just felt like it would invoke a sense of pride. It made me proud, and I'm not even from there. So I thought, when people see this phrase, they would just have a sense of pride, a sense of just coming to their own. And I also thought it would just work on a bigger scale as well, because the society at large tries to make Black people specifically forget that simple fact. Ideally, I would love for this person in this mural, or the woman in this mural, to be somebody from the local community. I think this would be a good alternative if that's not possible. There were many stories that I was inspired by from the book and articles and stuff that I read about the community. This one, specifically one from Juanita Linear Casey, and many other families about how they used to grow their own food. So I wanted food and vegetation and flowers to be like the focal point. I took a bunch of inspiration from other parts of those stories as well. The dress that the woman wears directly pulled from Latrice Roberts Eggleston's handmade dresses that she held up in the book. The colors and patterns are a direct reflection of her style. I included vinyl records to highlight Alice Slater Jones Lowry's husband, Nat the Cat, the first Black DJ in the community. And I just felt like I honored the past by using all of the imagery and all the different things. I even included the state flower, the dogwood flower, throughout the piece as well, to highlight where people are. I wanted to highlight the past, using those stories to inspire this piece. The present by Your God's Child too, and the person looking directly at you. And I wanted to use the quotes from the book as well to inspire the future. So I just felt like a few of them were just too good not to include. What I found was we were surrounded by the community growing up, and we were supported by the community. By Gregory Willard. If you're doing Another one was, if you're doing something you don't enjoy, quit and find something else you enjoy doing. And there was another one as well, but on the little scroll you can see it. I just wanted to inspire the future by quotes from the past, because there was so many to learn from in the book that was created. I was just so super excited about it. And I did a couple mock-ups. I ideally want to do the longest wall because you can see it from the street, and that's the biggest canvas for me to paint on potentially. And I think it would just garner a lot of attention and give a lot of pride to the community. And I also did an alternative view right here for a smaller wall. That's the chosen wall. But yeah, this is my preferred option. And that's it. If you guys have any questions, I'll love to hear.
Questions from the commission?
Is there a way to have less white in the mural?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would, if I'm selected, I would definitely want to include more things from direct conversations with the community and having community engagement. I would include more things on the sides that you're seeing, mostly cloud. I will include more things from those conversations. So I just wanted to leave a little room for community input, for sure.
Thank you.
And BZ, what is the material that you're using? Is it paint? Is it acrylic? What is the material?
The material, it can be acrylic paint, exterior paint, just like bucket paint, or it can be spray paint. I usually use a mixture of both. I heard in the last presentation you guys were asking about sealants. I use anti-graffiti coating. You can get it from Sherwin-Williams. It's very accessible to get. And with, like I said, I'm selected and painted the mural. That coating is it's like insured for like I think 100 years or something like that. So it's super durable. You can even power wash it if it gets like tagged or something on top of it. I've used that in my mural in Baltimore and it hasn't been any negative ramifications from using it at all.
Thank you. Any other questions? And BZ, thank you for your time this afternoon. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Our next presenters are Dominic Panzeria and Daniela Garofalo from Truckee, California. Dominic.
Hello.
Hi,
I'm Dominic. Obviously, this is Daniela.
I'm Daniela. Hi.
From snowy Truckee, California. Got a little bit last night, at least. Just first off, again, yes, thank you very much for this opportunity. Really excited to do something for the Pigeon Schools Community Center, especially since they are fighting the good fight, which was, we'll get into. We'll go through some, just a quick little blow through some of our past work that we feel is kind of relevant, just to kind of give you an idea for people that are unfamiliar with our work. And then also we can always see it on our website at www.ardeclectica, just like it sounds.com. Anyway, so let's go ahead and share our screen and we'll give you a, go ahead. And then pull that down.
Sorry.
Clear. And then go. Yeah. Oh, not working. Sorry, technical difficulty. I'm watching on the YouTube too, and I didn't see it on. It didn't come up.
Jesse, do they have control?
Sorry.
I think we have to pull this down.
What is?
Yeah. No. Sorry. Uh-oh. What did you do?
Agora, prova um pouco. Presta uma volta.
We have to go back to that. Seem to be having some technical difficulties. I'm sorry.
Can we go to the next one?
I don't think we get anything. Anything came up.
Okay, Dominic,
Can we go to the next artist, please?
as an option.
Our Zoom skills aren't as good as. Yeah.
May you please?
No, it's okay.
Go to the next artist that we figure out this problem, please.
Okay, hold on just 1 second.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We'll move on to the next artist, but if you want to send the file to my email, I'll put it and run your slides.
We'll try to see.
Yeah.
So
we'll do that.
Send me the file to jfowler@waynesvillenc.gov. I will pull the file up and I'll run your slides, and we'll give you some time by moving on to the next artist.
Okay. What was that again? I'm sorry.
Wait
a second.
I'll type it into the Zoom chat for you.
Okay, thank you. Let me see. What's this? Yeah, we got some problems here. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we will get back to you. Jesse's going to type in so that you can see it on the Zoom. So, Todd, you get some bonus points because we're jumping ahead. Todd is from Asheville, and Todd has done one of our complete pieces in our collection, which is Bloodhound in Hazelwood. So, Todd, it's all yours.
Probably shouldn't mess with that. Hi, thank you for having me. I'm just gonna ramble my way through some old slides and look at the timer here. Um, Hold on. All right. I don't want to look at that guy very long. Way too long.
Jesse's juggling some
Sure.
balls here, so we're not gonna come this time, so,
Okay.
yeah. I told you the technological challenges today might be a little bit much, but we're gonna make this happen. Jesse, do you have Todd's presentation?
Well, I can start just by telling you I'm Todd Fromm. I'm one half of, or was one half of Stone Cloud Studio, which is my business I started with my wife, a muralist. I'm a sculptor, and I've been doing this since the early 2000s. And yeah. It's all right. Yeah, I feel a little bit naked right now. Oh, yeah, that's mine. Can you make it full screen or? Go ahead and go to the next slide if you don't mind. Oh.
Point the clicker at Jesse.
Oh.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. So you're gonna do it? Yeah. Oh, gotcha. That'd be easy. You can just burn through some of these. This is a bronze sculpture. I just want to sort of give an idea of some of the narrative works that I typically do. This is a piece called Up in Smoke. It's about frogs as indicator species. You can go next slide. This is called Mobile Home. Next slide. This is called Bellwether. There's a larger version of this in Vandalia, Ohio. This is basically essentially a maquette for that piece. Next slide. I do a series of comic reliefs. So this is a long joke that I could tell you about, but it's probably not appropriate for this panel or YouTube. Next slide. This is Anywhere But Here. So we go next. This is a private commission and is sort of inspired by the first piece I showed you that was called, the first piece, by the way, is called Leaving Dodge. Go next slide. Next. So begins some of the public work that I've done. This piece is at the Chapel Hill Public Library. It's out back. It's loosely based off of netsuke, which are tiny carved, usually ivory or wood. The Japanese, they were a status symbol that was used to hold tobacco pouches and really ornate cases. You can go next slide. These are kids' feet for a scale. Next. And this is just sort of community engagement. We made a children's coloring book that went along with the unveiling. The library brought in each animal that was represented. Kids had an opportunity to carve and learn a little bit about the process. Next slide. This piece is at the Urbana Free Library. This is called Slow and Steady. And there's a rabbit atop a stack of books. No. Next, yeah, there we go. This is called Arcus. This is for a development company. It's in Urbana, Illinois also. These are carved limestone, and there's a family for scale. And yeah, this is also carved limestone. This is it's called Basin and Range, and gets its name from a John McPhee book by the same title, and in it he references that the summit of Mount Everest is made of marine limestone. And I thought I wanted to try and find a way to make fluid a very rigid, unforgiving material, and reference that particular book. The next, and a shameless kid photo on a bench that's in Vandalia, Ohio. She's going to be a much older model in a subsequent. This is a bench that I donated to a park in Urbana for a friend who passed away, he and his wife. It's called Resonance. It is this type of waves, these ripples are called capillary waves, which felt especially poignant to me. And he and his wife were pillars of the community, and they donated a lot of money to this park. And he was a mentor of mine. Next slide. This is just a piece in progress for University of Florida. I'm probably saying it wrong, in Gainesville. Not a sports fan, I apologize. You can go next. Here it is in place. And there you go. That's fine. Next. This is just using other materials, found materials. It started actually this series in grad school. It was called Roadside Scavenger. So I was actually getting out of a car, running behind my friend's car, and gathering up all the bits and pieces of tire tread and making sculpture out of it. This is a bronze gargoyle that's on the courthouse in Champaign County, Urbana, Illinois. There are 4 of them. The side note, the guys that were installing them, I went all the way up on this tower to help install it, and these guys were talking about the artists as though I wasn't there because I was young and they didn't know it was me. And they wrote Huey, Dewey, and Louie on the tops of these things. And it was, anyway. So this piece comes from a series that I did for a park in Cary, North Carolina, that specifically caters to kids that are differently abled. And I sat during a session with the public and drew ideas with little kids. And I didn't want to do it, and because I thought it was not going to be a productive use of time, to be totally frank. And then I'm sitting next to a little girl, thinking, well, these kids aren't going to give me the idea. And she draws a cat, and then she runs out of steam because she reaches a freezing point, and she turns the rest of the cat into an octopus. And I said, well, why did you do that? She said, why don't I have cat feet? You know. And so I did a series. They're called Chimera. So this is a squion, a squirrel lion. If you want to go next, this is an owl cat. Next, and this is a alligator, crocodile, giraffe. Thank you. And these are part of benches that are around a misting garden, which kids, even in wheelchairs, can drive under these misters on a hot day. This particular relief is part of that piece also. It's called Different is Normal, Love is Universal. And in it, each of the animals are represented in a negative. So when you take a rubbing, they're exposed, the 4 elements, and then each animal pops out when you take a rubbing off this. It's just a piece I did for a vet hospital in Weaverville. Next. And this piece starts leading us toward the concept I have for the project. This is at the Indianapolis airport. Next. Next. So it's just me rigging it up, because if I paid a rigger, it would have cost a lot more money. And probably not a pretty foolish decision at that point, but you get an idea of scale. This piece is called Halcyon. It was donated to a hospital in Columbus, Indiana, after a flood. So they had a flood in the hospital, had all sorts of volunteers that came out and kept things running and kept people alive, got sandbags and kept all the equipment online. So next slide. And so conceptually, this my approach essentially is in thinking of this project that each culture is enriched by other cultures, that the other cultures they celebrate. That they create dynamic families. New perspectives are born out of pollination, sorry, and not cultural homogenization, but sometimes hybridization. So not that we all have to melt into one homogeneous culture, but we have to beg and borrow the strengths from each other's cultures. I had one more thing I wanted to read off of that, sorry. Yeah, the areas of other cultures that lie beyond our periphery offer the most insight. So next. And so here's our model all grown up. And this is approximately 9 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet. It would be limestone. This is a crude rendering. But, and I say approximately because typically the quarry dictates the exact dimensions because they tend to extract things in 4 by 4 by 8 cubes, but they do get larger pieces. So go next slide. We go back to that one for just a minute, just to give people an idea of scale. Probably got enough questions about that. So this, I got confused when they were talking about whether or not this should be a mural or on a wall. And so I went back to the drawing board thinking it might need to be something that was on a wall. And I reimagined the idea. This is just the process by which I make some sculpture. This is a steel piece, it's powder coated. You can go to the next slide. And same process, next slide. Oh, go back one. And so this is just the same thing. Again, title would be Stronger Together. Again, as if I said it the first time, I might not have. Next slide, just sort of a rough idea of what it would look like. And I think that might be the last, yeah. I don't know if I raced through that, but hopefully that gives people an idea of where I would take this project, and I welcome any questions.
So there are two options, the metal option that could be on the wall or the 3D sculpture.
Correct, a powder coated steel on the wall, which is pretty durable, depending on the powder coating and how it's applied. Worst case scenario, it gets sandblasted and reapplied. It's not a huge ordeal.
Okay.
But, I mean, taken down, sandblasted, reapplied.
And you would fabricate either of these in Nashville and transport them here?
That's right, yeah.
3 options then, really, with the limestone being the third. The limestone 9-foot statue, if they.
It's just the limestone piece and then the wall piece.
And the wall piece.
No,
Either or.
Either or. Okay, I'm sorry.
One or the other.
Where does the limestone come from?
Indiana. It's just there's limestone everywhere, but it's Pentagon is faced with its Empire State Building. It's just very predictable and reliable. As for graffiti, it can be sealed with things. It's not advisable. It's better to deal with graffiti after the fact. I've done countless big pieces outside, and only one has ever been vandalized in California. It was vandalized with red deck stain, and they threw it on this piece. The whole thing was covered, and it came off very easily.
Pressure washer.
It was pressure washer with a chemical, but it came right off. So.
Any other questions?
Yes. Same thing, different orientation with just sort of stylized background. The sculpture, not necessarily it's going to be limestone, but uh, to, to address that more specifically, the type of limestone I get is called variegated. So um, architects don't want it for building purposes. I like it because it has strata of different colors, which actually helps model the surface. It looks really nice.
Okay, we're gonna have to move along in the Mark's last question. Try that again.
Would budget and or space allow the possibility of art being both control and sculpture?
Well,
How much would you like to donate?
Yeah, depends on the artist, what they want to take, yeah.
yeah, probably not unless we scale both of them down, but I would say probably one or the other. So, Todd, thank you very much. I appreciate you being flexible today as well.
I have files.
Okay. All right, then we're going back to Dominic and Daniela. Dominic, are you online? Bueller? Bueller? Some people got that. Bueller?
Okay.
Bueller? Dominic, are you there?
I think we're back, but yes.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we can hear you. We're just getting some residue there. Sounds like we're good. Okay, Dominic, take it away.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Guess it's been a while and that didn't seem to work. We've done it before, but anyway, let's just move on. So I see what you have up on the screen now. That's a piece that we did in San Francisco. It's a wall mural for in a lobby for a building that's right now it's like Microsoft and Riverbed Tech. It's 24 feet by 16 feet tall. Everything San Francisco. The reason we put that one in is because it kind of shows what we like to work in, mixed media with a lot of dimensionality. That piece was a real collaboration with the client, and also we worked with a few other artists, and everything turned out really good. You can go ahead to the next one. The next picture. This is a piece that we did as a sculptural piece. This is that one. The one before was one that we did for Sculpture Fest and was it's now down in Pasadena. Just kind of giving you an idea how we like to work in mixed media with a lot of different stuff. This one we did during the pandemic. It's also a dimensionality, like the box that you're looking at on the side view there has polished stainless steel, so you see a mirrored image of a head in the middle there. It's kind of floating. You can see it on the left there a little bit. I mean, we're having a hard time seeing it actually, but anyway. Also, that was done, like I said, it's kind of hard to see on it, but we did a bunch of inspirational quotes because we also like a good quote. And I thought it was pretty interesting when someone saw it. They said they actually brought a tear to their eye. Kind of that whole, just how emotional that period was. You can go ahead. To the next slide, please, or I don't know how
There might be a delay.
Okay. So this is our proposal. The idea was based on, once again, starting off with a couple quotes that we'd read. One was that everything is energy by Albert Einstein, which basically the concept is that because you guys are there at the school, community center, are providing people with knowledge to, which is pretty much key for like moving, forward and being successful in life and being able to survive. Also, just the idea of that, if you know your possibilities, you're much more apt to be able to move forward and be successful, or just, have a good life. And that's kind of what the idea is. So we were thinking of doing it on both sides of the wall. So, and it would be in mixed media, done on panels, brought and, as pieces and brought and mounted on the wall. We'd have to work with the town to have the mounting brackets supplied preset, so it would come and be hung onto that in place. The wall on the left side, which is kind of as you walking into the building, is a circular element to try to get the fact that, you guys are the epicenter of the, the community, place for, just that idea of community sharing, being able to provide knowledge, and any other stuff to help the needs of the local community. That piece could have a lot of different elements contained into it in the circular part. Could be stuff that's suggested by the community. Also, just kind of visual stuff, mostly mosaic, but a lot of, also we're trying to create something where you can kind of see the original building, the brick. And so as you move to the right across that, that's like kind of that idea of like, I'm getting this knowledge and now I'm moving on and developing. And then as it moves on to the front side, it's more of a explosion of energy, a positive energy. The title of this is Positive Energy, just trying to get that knowledge so you can move forward and create your
Transmit.
Transmit your energy across and be successful. Which is the part of the rest of that quote was basically energy is everything, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. There can be no other way. It is not philosophy. This is physics, which is pretty inspiring to think about also. And then also another quote from Maya Angelou, which is kind of in the same kind of concept, is do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better.
And then maybe we can show that how we did it.
Oh, okay. And I don't know if we did send a short video of our most recent work that was done as a mural, big mural done on a wall to dress it up here in Truckee. It was sent by WeTransfer. I don't know if you got it, or you can even put it up.
Also in the image, we also sent an
Oh, yeah, that could be the next image too. So could you switch to the next image?
Just 1 second.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is a mural we did last year here in Truckee. Kind of give you an idea of how, we would envision, it's kind of similar in a way, the idea of attaching the panels to the wall. This is a concrete retaining wall. So the mosaic work is all done on panels and then was hung on the wall with gravity and then attached so they couldn't be removed. just kind of a little example of our, as the other ones too, the mosaic work. This was all mosaic, and then was also we worked with a fabricator who did the metal work.
Jesse.
So I guess kind of.
Okay, so
I don't know if you got the video. It would have been through WeTransfer, but it might be a little more difficult to pull it up.
just lots of details.
It's gonna what?
It's already doing that.
Okay.
Okay, everybody brace yourselves. Oh, okay. All right. It's a short piece.
Yeah, it's a short video.
Yes.
It's just kind of just to show the kind of the detail, because the thing with this is, yeah, there it goes.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you can just go ahead with the video. Yeah, play the video. Thank you.
So this was just kind of, we're trying to just have, more of the detail that was involved, because the piece was, on a road, obviously, but as you got closer to it, you can kind of discover some different elements. Thank you very much for that. So I guess we could go ahead and open it up to questions.
Dominic, you mentioned mosaic, metal, and so on. The piece that you're proposing for the Peace Center, can you tell us what some of those mixed media are?
Just that the idea was we work as those panels we did for that wall here in Chucky were done on honeycomb fabric and then with fiberglass, so they kept it pretty light, and then we attached the mosaic directly to that. For yours, we kind of envision we're working with in the metal, as a lot of the metal and fiberglass to make those shapes as it goes across the front of the building, and then decorating it with painted surfaces on some of that, and then also just different mixed media, which metal, mosaic, found objects too. We like to use a lot of stuff that is recycled. Anything, if we could get stuff donated, that'd be fantastic as well, to mix it into that. And everything would be basically smaller pieces, and then laid out with the attachment points that we needed on the wall to hang it, as when we showed up to hang it, we brought it, and we're planning on just delivering it and then placing it, attaching it to the wall with the attachments already in place.
And what's the title of that? Do you have a title for it?
Positive energy.
The title is Positive Energy.
What about color? Is there color in this one that you're proposing?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's kind of hard with mosaic to just, because we work with we have like a stockpile of material, which keeps the cost down to do these projects that have a lower budget. So we're not buying a ton of the material. We're actually using what we have, and we have a variety, just like unknown amount of color. We use a lot of natural stone, a lot of all exterior grade, as you can see in the the past work, the sculptures, and then that mural that we did in Truckee can withstand a wide variety, a lot of heat plus snow, freezing.
We are 6,000 feet here.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the commission with questions? Okay, Dominic and Daniela, thank you for your time this afternoon.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Our next presenter is Christine McCarthy from New York City. We are skipping the break. We are moving right along.
We are skipping the break. We are moving right along.
Hello. Can you hear me okay? Hello.
Krista, are you there?
You all okay? So hello and thank you all for this incredible opportunity. I'm very honored to have been chosen as a finalist. And also to the other artists, it's been really inspiring watching your proposals too. It's very amazing talent in this pool. So I'll jump right in. Let me share my screen. Can everybody see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Christine McCarthy, and I am a muralist and also a community engaged artist and a teaching artist. And so I really enjoy working with communities and collaborating on the design for each project and also during the painting process. I'm from originally Wisconsin, but I lived in Atlanta for 10 years and now I'm in New York City. And at the moment I'm in Peru, but I'll be back to the States very soon. So my art style, when I create art, usually I like to tell a story with images, and I like to do a lot of research and have a lot of connection with the community that lives and works around the mural because it will become a part of their public space. And I think it's really important that what you leave is a gift to the community and something that they feel ownership of and proud of. I really like to incorporate flora and fauna from the area, textiles, and I often will use my own photography for my reference images or else archival photos from history. And I really like to combine different styles like realism with abstracts, symbols, metaphors. So here's a couple of murals I've done recently. This one, I'll go more into depth on this one later, but it is a mural that I did in New York City working with people who live with mental health conditions. And I collaborated with 13 members of a psychosocial clubhouse on this design. And then they also painted most of it with me. And then I installed it later. This is on Polytab, and I'll talk more about Polytab later. And you can see there's a lot of metaphors here. The woman getting her hair braided, that's my best friend, Shani, and she's, her act of getting her hair braided is showing how beauty salons are such an important place for people to get support in their community, where you can go and talk about your problems and do self-care and make yourself feel better by grooming and connecting with your neighbors. This is a mural I painted in Akumal in an art festival in Mexico. And the person in this photograph is my mother-in-law. So this is a picture of her with her parrot. And they are representing this sweet moment that she had with her with her parrot is a metaphor for us people respecting nature and living in harmony with nature rather than exploiting it and contributing to climate change and environmental health problems. And this is my most recent mural. This was done at the emergency room of South Brooklyn Health in New York City. And this is with a program called Arts and Medicine, where they place murals into hospitals to help ease people's stress during what is usually a very stressful time if you're at the hospital. And this mural is telling the story of Coney Island and of the hospital itself. So from left to right, it goes chronologically, beginning with a pattern by the Lenape people, which are the original inhabitants of that area, and also rabbits, which were also the original inhabitants. And Coney Island got its name from the Dutch word for rabbit, which is Coney, I guess. And then the next scene is sort of beginning, the hospital's beginning, which was as a first aid unit on the beach, and the old building, which is soon being demolished. And on the right side is the new building, which has recently been built. And in the middle, you have a scene with a doctor and her patient, and they're holding an umbrella together, which symbolizes the storms that this community has weathered together, both literally and figuratively, because they also went through Sandy and then also lots of little storms all the time, having crisis constantly in a hospital and getting through it together. And then the hands are representing that you're in good hands here and helping and healing. Okay, so this is my design proposal for this project. And I propose to do a mural that is on both walls, and it will use symbols and visual metaphors to tell the story of Waynesville and of the Pigeon Community Multicultural Development Center. This is a rough draft because there would be a lot of engagement with the community, so this would obviously change talking with them, but I just wanted you to see what it could look like if I were to do it. This is another angle of it. And the benefits of doing this mural with a community engaged process is that the community then can participate in the design and the painting of the mural, and it'll help people feel more connected with the space and to also be proud of what they've contributed. This mural would last potentially decades, so it would be there for generations and also a source of pride for the community center itself, because the imagery of the mural would tell the story of the Pigeon Community Center, which would go all the way back to the beginnings as a Rosenwald school, and then into the future of what the people who use the center, what they envision for the future of Waynesville and of the Pigeon community. And doing it on both sides of the wall would give it more viewpoints. You can see this both from the window of the center, also from the street, and hopefully would draw people into the center and help other people access all of the services that the center offers. So these are just the little ideas that I came up with based on the research that I did. And like I said, this would obviously be very moldable based on community engagement. So some of the things that I sort of saw as key elements to include were the concept of past, present, and future. And going back to the past, honoring Julius Rosenwald and Booker T. Washington for them starting the Rosenwald schools. Also including an actual image of the original Rosenwald school, although this is a stand-in image because I couldn't find one in Waynesville, but I'll explain later how I could update these images. There's also a little girl here holding a photo of the 1957 graduating class, and there's some books here next to her, and one of them is Lift Every Voice, which is a project that the center is working on right now to collect oral histories of the African American community and the Pigeon community. And going on to the present here, you have some symbols of culture and the Adinkra symbol of the Siamese crocodiles, which is the logo for the center. And that symbol means it's promoting democracy and unity between people of different backgrounds, which I've noticed is a theme in the center as far as mission. So I thought that would be really important to include in some way. And it's inside of a mandala, which is an important symbol and art practice across Asia, the Middle East, India. And then underneath you have an older woman and a younger girl reading together. And this is a symbol of respect, intergenerational knowledge passing, learning together, and also safety. It's kind of like a warm, comforting image. And then the main figure is this child who's offering an apple, which is a symbol like when you're a younger student and you give your teacher an apple. It's sort of a gesture of respect and trust towards your teacher. And also I noticed food sharing was such an important part of the center's mission. So it's kind of a nod to learning and to respect, but also to the services that the center offers, and also childcare. And then in the future, there is a scene of a group of people gardening together, and they're harvesting what they planted earlier in the season or before. So it's sort of a positive vision of the future for the community that together they will grow and plant seeds and ideas and build relationships that will go on into the future to create a stronger community. And also the center offers fresh food boxes, so there's a fresh food box also. And some other things that are present throughout the mural is nature, so I included the Blue Ridge Mountains. They could be the Smoky Mountains also. The dogwood flower, which is the state flower, the tiger swallowtail, the state butterfly. And also, I don't know if any of you remember reading Rainbow, but the butterfly rainbow is sort of a throwback to reading Rainbow, which I used to love as a kid. And there's also diversity throughout the mural through the colors, the patterns, different styles, and then the people are all different ages, genders, ethnicities. And so that is expressing the multiculturalness of the center. So to make this, to customize this design together with the community, there's a couple of steps. One would be for me to do some more research, which would include visiting the archives, taking photographs around the area of people in the area, researching the community culture, visiting the Haywood County Library and the Mountain Heritage Center, and learning more about the flora and fauna of the area. And then for community engagement, this is the most important part of the process, and this is where all the richness really lies, is involving the community in the design. So this would happen over 2 sessions. The first session, it would be in person, and I would lead a workshop where I would sort of a roundtable discussion, some brainstorming, getting some ideas with people, and asking open-ended questions like, what future do you envision for Waynesville? Or asking people to share a song, poem, or a text that they feel represents the Pigeon community or the values of the center. And then also doing a drawing exercise. And in the picture, this is an example of one, which is musical chairs drawing. And I put big pieces of paper on multiple tables, and in the middle of each paper, I'll write a word or a prompt that has to do with the theme. And then I'll play a song, and everybody at the table, while the song is playing, you sketch whatever comes to mind when you see this word. For example, this one is self-care, and you can see people wrote accomplishments. Somebody getting their hair done. There's somebody in the bath. So people just kind of free sketching what this word means to them. And then when the song ends, everybody gets up and goes to the next table to their right, and the next song plays, and you do it again for the next prompt. So this is a great way to generate some ideas for how to express the message. So after that first session, I would take all those ideas and create a sketch or 2, depending on how many ideas I have. And then for the second community engagement session, I will present that sketch to the community, and it would be sort of just an open session for feedback, for people to let me know how they feel about this sketch. What do they like about it? What would they change? Is there anything that they don't like that they would want removed? Anything that's misrepresented? And we also, during that session, can talk about color, and color is such an important communicator, so that'll be another important way to express the ideas of everybody in the community. And once that is done, then I will go back to the drawing board and finalize the design. And this is the process I went through with that first mural I showed you. So you can see it started out with just a black and white line design. Then I created a color rendering after I took a photograph of my friend posed the way I wanted. And during the design review with the community, I had some revisions requested, which was for me to include more Puerto Rican and Caribbean iconography and culture. So they asked me to change her earring to a shell earring. Some of her tattoos got changed to be Taino symbology. And the hands that are braiding her hair, they asked if I could make them look more diverse and in age and in race. And then also the flowers underneath, they added a magnolia flower, which is the national flower of the Dominican Republic. And on the bottom, you can see on the first sketch, there's a little person by themselves, and they felt sad to see him alone. So they asked me to add a friend for him to be comforting him. And then we also added the children flying the kites to give more joy and color to the mural altogether.
Christy,
Okay, so that's the design process. For the production of the mural or the fabrication, I would use Polytab for this project. Polytab is a 100% polyester non-woven fabric. It's actually what they use in fashion design, like in men's coloring. And this is a great material. It's very durable. This mural will last for 15 to 30 years. It can be attached to almost any texture of wall. On a brick wall, it adheres perfectly and will just suck itself to the brick. So you can't even tell when you look at it that it's not painted directly onto the wall.
Christy?
And the best part is that it allows for participants to help painting without having them have to get up on ladders or, stand up for a long time. If there's any physical limitations that anybody
Christy?
has. Yes.
I'm going to have to ask you to wrap up. We're going to run a little bit short of time. Would you like another minute to wrap up?
Okay, I'll wrap it up.
Thank you.
This is the paint I would use. And this is what a paint party would look like, where I would turn parts of the sketch into color by numbers, and that would allow people to paint along. And then I would install it using the Nova Gel. This is what an installation looks like. And for the installation, I would hire 2 local assistants. They would be paid, and it would also give them training and experience with Polytab. After the mural's installed, then I would cover it with, this is a very heavy-duty mural shield. It protects against UV and graffiti. And if there was any graffiti, it's very easy to remove using the graffiti remover, or you can use soap and water. And this is the finished product. So you can see there's no seams, and you can't tell that this was done on Polytab. And this is a potential timeline. So I could begin as soon as April, coming for the session. Then 2 weeks later, have the community design review. 2 more weeks to create the final design, send it for approval. And then in June, do fabrication and installation. And then unveiling celebration. Okay,
Very
that
good.
is it. Thank you very much.
Do we have any questions from the committee?
Yes.
Skip? Christy, can you hear Skip?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Do we have any questions from the committee?
Yes. An echo in here.
Christy, can you hear Skip?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
The questions from the committee. An echo in here.
Christy, would you turn off
Yes.
YouTube? Turn off YouTube. That's what's causing the feedback. Okay, Skip, we're waiting for this question.
The Polytab, I'm sure it's a question a few people have. That was a great presentation. The 10 to 15 year life cycle of the product would be the only fear when I think everybody would like to see this, the grandchildren, the young people in here would like to see their grandchildren see this image. I don't know if you heard me. So the longevity of the Polytab.
15.
I heard her say 10 to 15 years.
15 to 30.
Skip, I think the audience will answer your question.
Well, my
Okay,
question
I'll
would
tell
still be 15 years.
I'll
Seems
tell
a
you
little
what,
light.
if we drop this now, we'll call her before
Okay.
we deliberate tomorrow and get an answer. Okay, our last presenter this afternoon is Grace Caffey, who is from Waynesville. And Grace is vacationing or wintering in Texas right now. Grace also has a piece that's in our collection, and it's the Wildflowers of the Smokies that's in the booklet. But at this time, I'd like to introduce Grace Caffey. Grace,
Hi there.
Hi, Grace.
Hi.
Go ahead.
All right, I have a slideshow for you. I want you to know that I am so excited about this project, honoring this historic building and community center. And there's a lot of beautiful sculptures out there, artists, and whatever you do is going to be fantastic. And I am really thrilled. So after some research and deep thought, I came up with this idea. I have this plan. And I have this show for you. Okay. So here we are, our building. I want to create a gathering place. So right here, I'm showing you, I want you to get a sense of place. This is the sidewalk that comes into the front door.
Grace,
So
Grace,
can you hear me?
we can hear you, but you have to share your screen.
Oh dear. Okay.
So take your
all right.
time.
Okay. Let's see.
Down on the bottom of the screen, the green.
Okay. There we go. Can you see me?
We can only see you right now.
Okay, hang on. Jeez. All right. I'm supposed to hit this one. No, not that one.
Okay, we have some technical help coming.
Grace, at the top of your screen,
Uh-huh.
you should see most likely a green button that says share.
Okay.
I gave you, you may have to accept the co-host invitation that I gave you. You might have gotten a pop-up for that.
Okay, let's see if I can find the pop-up for that. I did hit a screen share down here, and it is green. One participant can share at a time, multiple participants. That's not it, is it?
You're getting close. So did you click that?
Click that one?
Yep.
Advanced options, advanced.
Oh,
Multiple participants.
Nope, you're just looking for the share screen button.
Okay, it's at the top.
Most likely.
At the meeting, Zoom meeting, let's see, screen share. Share. Yes. Okay. All right, having technical difficulties here.
So at the bottom of your screen,
Mm-hmm.
you should see a couple things. One of them, starting from the left, is security, participants, chat, and share screen.
Okay, I see. Mute video, security, participants, and share screen, and it is
Click that.
all green. It is green.
So click that.
Okay. Now I have a desktop. Basic, advanced, share. It says share.
You're not going to click the arrow. You're going to click the actual green play button.
Click now.
No, that's me. That's my mouse.
Okay. System preferences.
See, when you click that, it should show up kind of like this. And you get to pick your screen.
All right. So I still am not.
So here, what I'm going to do is
hang on just a
Getting your grandson.
Hello?
All right, I am here.
Do you have a 12-year-old?
Yeah.
Or 5-year-old.
Okay, have you?
Wait, I've got help coming right now.
She got the mute button.
Is that?
Stop sharing for a minute.
Okay.
Okay, and start video.
Is that Ginger?
Jesse, did you give us sharing?
I'm about to say, Ginger, is that you? Where'd you come from?
Did you give us sharing?
Yeah. Yeah, I gave you co-host privileges. My option now says remove co-host permissions. If you click share screen, it should give you an option for the different screens you have, and you can click
Yep.
on those.
Yep, we're there. Yes.
Here's
Very
Microsoft.
surprising to see you there. I thought you had retired from IT.
I have retired.
Hit this share.
Uh-huh. And yeah,
It's up.
You gonna try removing it and then resetting it there?
that one.
Okay.
What'd you see, Jesse?
No shared screen.
We did have a shared. Grace, give me that arrow right there
Okay.
and hit that.
Jesse, do you want to remove that
Hit
option
this
and
again?
then send it to him again?
I'm gonna remove your permission. I'm gonna resend it.
That's what I need. That's exactly what I need.
Okay, good.
I think that might need to-
Okay, so I'm sending the co-host invitation again.
Through email?
It's on the way.
I quit my email.
Let's see. Are you sending that via email or?
Nope, it is through Zoom.
Okay.
I made you a co-host.
Yep.
Well, I asked you to be a co-host. I believe you have to accept.
Well, that's not coming through either.
Let's see, share screen and desktop. Right. Double click that. Allow. Well.
You.
Let's see. One moment, please. See, we've got share screen, but we're not getting a.
Yeah, we're not getting it to. I saw other screens today and other photos and screen sharing with you earlier.
Let's see.
Just now.
Let's do stop video.
Okay.
All right, share screen. Desktop.
Are they there?
That's your desktop.
Okay.
And open. Oh, wait. She needs to grant access in her system preferences. Let's see.
Right, that's what I was wondering.
Let's see how we do that. We go down into your settings, system preferences.
Screen recording.
Keep on going. Let's try accessibility. Those are unique too, but we'll go zoom. Allow. Zooms out. See that was where it says zoom
Yeah,
right
you
there?
think I need to get out of privacy and go to general?
Right. I wonder if this land won't let us go through here.
If it helps, you can send me your files to my email. And I can do the same thing I did for the other participant and run the slides for you if you tell me when to proceed. Grace, Ginger, you guys are muted. Would you want to just send me your files and I can load them up here and run the slides for you?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, so we're preparing it for email right now.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so, this is not my regular email. My regular email is down here, but when it does the computer, it'll work.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I thought you were talking to me.
I was.
Jesse, what's your email?
jfowler@waynesvillenc.gov.
Waynesville. NC. Dot gov. Grace Catholic. Presentation. Mhm.
Okay, so what do I do? Just slide it in here?
Leave it there.
This is actually the last presentation.
But I could sing a few things now.
Yeah. We could ask Modine to perform.
There you go. Yeah, right, there you go.
It loses something without the costume.
How about a joke?
Oh, not one of mine.
Okay, it's on the way.
Anyway,
In the meantime, if you want to send me again the link, I could see if I could pull it up.
I have your email now. I'm downloading it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hey folks, at the end, once we're done here, if you don't mind bringing up your evaluation sheets up to me, so we can post those for tomorrow. Thank you.
Maybe he's.
No. Sure.
See, it keeps going to this way. It's sharing.
Say about 30 feet off the street, maybe? Something like that.
Well, it's the front of the building, so you've got the road, you've got a little bit of parkway, then you've got a sidewalk, then you have a lawn, and then the
Okay.
building. Have you been by the building? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's that big wall in front.
We can pull that up at the.
There you go.
Yeah, there it is.
Hey, it worked.
It's gonna slip upside down.
I wonder why it did that.
Yeah.
Jesse, do we have Grace's file?
I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Hey.
Grace, you are ready to go. Thank you, Jim.
Okay. Okay.
Grace, we have your file up, so you'll have to let us know when to change, and there'll be a slight delay in what you see.
Okay. Oh, so I'll let you know, we're on slide 1, so now we go to slide 2.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead to slide 2. So you heard that I'm very excited about this project, and I know whatever artist you choose, it's going to be fantastic. And I am excited. So after a lot of research and deep thought, I came up with this idea. Let's do slide 2. Okay, and I want to do a gathering place. Let's do slide 3. So I want to do some sculpture. I want to do outdoor seating, benches, landscape, pathways, and lighting. All right, let's go to, that was 4. So let's go to 5. So this is a drawing. You wrapped your head around that first photo I showed you. That this is the sidewalk, which is on the bottom of the page of this drawing, and that's a path that goes up to it. I wanted to have a concrete platform that was 10 by 15. And then on top of that platform, I want to have a stage. I'm going to call it a stage because it's going to be red brick and it's going to be elevated. It's like a box on top of a box. It's going to be elevated. And I want to put my sculpture on this. And here are benches, landscaping, and more sidewalks. On the top right is another walkway. Okay, I came across this sculpture and I said, that's it. I want to do teacher and two students from the 1920s era. And this is not my work. This is a famous sculpture. It is a poured bronze and it is gorgeous in Washington, D.C. But I love the idea of having people out there. So I was thinking of adding other things and the idea is developing. Okay, so I'm thinking capturing the idea of these, a step back in time. But I am a fabricator. I'm not a three-dimensional artist of sorts like a poured bronze that I showed you a few minutes ago. Back here. Okay, are we on slide 6? Did you see slide 6 yet?
I am on the statue slide.
Okay, that would be slide 6. Okay, the next slide is the African American teacher from the 1920s era, from the Rosenwald School that was in Waynesville. And that is the presence of the people that I would like to capture in a fabricated way that I work in steel. This is not my work. This is the next slide. It's a piece of steel that has the hole cut out. And this shows you the negative and positive working with the steel. Okay, let's go to the next slide. And this is fabricated steel example. Again, this is not my work, but these are people cut out of steel. And I work in layers. So let's go to the next slide. This is a three-dimensional sculpture of my apple tree in Hendersonville. And this is what I'm trying to say in the layers of steel, representing the people, representing books, maybe a tree of life in this scene on top of that stage that I showed you earlier. Now, okay, I want to tell you that I do work with 2 different teams. I have intentional design students from Western Carolina University. This is the next slide. Are you on the slide that has the writing on it?
Yes.
Okay. Also, I work with a Briscoe. It's a laser cutter and fabrication in Swannanoa, and I've worked with him for 20 years. He does all my fabrication for my public sculptures. And I know you have lots of questions. Just go ahead and ask. That's the next slide.
Okay. So I do have a question.
Okay.
The idea of the walkway, you would take the walkway from the existing sidewalk and then pull it down into the lawn?
No, I would build a sidewalk with it. If you go back to slide 5, it's the 5th slide. It is the drawing of, let me explain that again. It is the drawing, the painting, the watercolor painting. So this is on the bottom of that painting is this existing sidewalk along the bottom of that page. Right. That shape is the sidewalk I would add there, maybe just a gravel pathway, and at the top right is another gravel pathway. Because I see people sitting here, I see the platform as being another bench, a person to sit and play music, to tell stories, to sit around and talk, a place for people to gather.
Is the orientation, is this parallel to the long wall of the building?
Yes,
Or is it
this is
perpendicular?
exactly like slide 3. If you look at slide 3, you will see the red box. Are you on slide 3?
Yes.
Okay, if you look at slide 3, on the bottom
Okay,
is a diagonal sidewalk, and it goes to the wall. And then the street, the sidewalk, the wall, the street. Okay, so that is the main sidewalk to the front door. Okay, the red box on your photo there is the 10-foot by 15-foot concrete platform. And around it are the pathways that come from the top of the sidewalk. Maybe they're just gravel pathways, landscaping, benches.
Grace, I know that everybody on the committee is probably thinking, is this within our budget? Because we're talking about the pathways, concrete, benches, and the artwork. So is that all within $35,000?
Well, see, I was going to work up that area first, then balance it between what I could do with that area, the landscaping, what can be done. I don't think it's that large of an area. I just feel like we need an outdoor seating, and I'm going to call that place where the sculpture will go would be a stage. And that's how I wanted to put the sculpture on there with the people.
Okay.
Similar to the idea of slide 9. The teacher with the students. And I was going to work with layers of steel. I was going to work with very thick steel, and I was going to have it slightly bent so it had some curvature, and then maybe layering it with another, like I said, the tree of life that would be beside it. Maybe a dog. Again, it's not really a silhouette because I do see this area with some color.
Okay. Does anybody else on the commission have a question?
There's a question out in the audience.
Bruce?
Yeah, I was just a little concerned about copying another artist's work. Is that permission been secured? Can you get it? No.
I think she was just showing that
Those
as an
were just
illustration.
examples.
She wasn't going to actually copy the work. She was just showing it as an illustration.
Yeah, that's correct. That is just so you have a visual on my ideas of how it would possibly look. You're asking how it can be secured?
No, his question was about whether it would be copying another artist's work, but basically what you're saying is it would be similar to the concept that you have.
Exactly. No, all artists spring off from other people's work.
Right.
I don't think I could copy anybody's work if I had to, because I just kind of have my own will about how it's done.
Okay.
And I want to go into capturing the 20s with the clothing, the shoes, that feeling of time. That's
Okay,
my plan.
Grace, we're going to have to draw to a close.
Okay.
And we appreciate your time very much.
Okay.
And thank you to all the artists that participated today. You're going to make our decision very difficult to make. But I will also ask for everybody in the audience, if you would complete your forms. And it would be most helpful if you could number them 1 to 3 with what you would choose, so that it can help us with our deliberations. Also, if you would take a tour book with you and hold on to it. When we have this printed, we want it to be something that people would retain. It has the walking tour in the middle of it. And if you ever have company and you want to have them, go do something for a couple of hours, you can just give them the book and say, go find all this artwork. So again, thank you to all the artists, and thank you to Candace for enabling us to have this meeting today. If anybody has questions that you would like to ask the commission or have one-on-one, we'd be glad to stick around for a few minutes. And with that, I'll call the meeting to a close. Motion to adjourn.